It just became available on Netflix. Hitman.
Yeah, that became available
today.
Today. So that's very fresh, very new.
Yes.
And
so
it did have a...
Yeah, it was in theaters.
Right, had a short run.
And I was like, oh, God, I almost would go to the theater and watch it, but I never go to the theater and watch anything, unlike John. So I was very excited that it had a quick turnaround and was on Netflix. So it's loosely based on an actual real story, which I did not know this going into it. So it's a professor of, I believe, philosophy and psychology. He was sort of not moonlighting, but had like a side job of doing tech stuff for the police department, and then gets foisted into an undercover hitman thing. So
like that so often happens.
Well, I mean, it's very cute the way they did it. So he's like in the van, like manning all the tech stuff, and they're like, ooh, our dude can't do it. You're up. And he's like, what? And it goes great. And
it goes great killing somebody?
No. He's undercover for the police department as a hitman. So like if you wanted to hire a hitman, they would get wind of it and then they'd send him in to basically what?
Isn't this movie called The Hitman?
Yes.
So I did think he killed people.
He is not a hitman. He is posing as a hitman.
Twist. Okay.
Yeah,
intrigued.
posing.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So working for the police department, but not technically actually a police officer, but undercover, posing as a hitman to not entrap people, because then that would not be prosecutable, but right?
Wow.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Keep going.
I know. John made a face like, what do you mean?
No,
and I
this
was
is
like,
just
no, I'm
impressive.
right. Okay. So, yeah, you have to get them to offer you money of their own accord, just like make you the offer and tell you what they want to do, and then you can arrest them. So it's a little, you have to be tricky about it.
I think that basically is entrapment, but because he's not a police officer.
No.
Okay.
Entrapment is if you suggest it.
Oh, sounds awesome. Let's move on.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right. So it's directed by Richard Linklater, which I thought was really interesting because it feels like out of his... What, John?
Have you not been hearing about this for the last 2 months? It's Glen Powell and Richard Linklater. That was the whole story.
Yes. Okay,
Oh, okay.
sorry.
But our viewer may not know, John.
She was surprised. I'm talking to her.
Yeah, I was surprised.
No.
Well, okay, look.
Wait. Are you surprised because it's not really Richard Linklater's...
Milieu.
Yes.
Yes, that is what
understand.
I'm saying.
Right.
Okay, so I did kind of bury the lead, which is that it stars Glen Powell, who we have talked about recently because I saw that movie, Anyone But You, which he starred in. And then also we talked about that he has the new Twister movie coming out, probably this
Also
summer.
was in the recent Top Gun.
Top Gun and the other flying movie. What was that? Devotion. Yeah. So he's been around. And weirdly, when I was mentioning it to somebody, I'm like, oh, yeah, but actually for me, how he popped onto my radar was Hidden Figures. He played John Glenn in Hidden Figures. And yeah, so that's where I know him from.
Yeah, no, when people say like it's an overnight thing, it's like, no, he's been working on this for a while. Because if you remember Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
Also, they did some reference to him recently where it might go back to like teen years. Like he has been around forever.
I am not being perfectly accurate saying that's the only or the first, but that's a easily recognizable, instance.
So nice, well deserved. He's carrying the lead now.
Yeah, so
Glenn.
not in this case, not only carrying the lead, but he co-wrote the script with Richard Linklater. So, okay, back to...
That is surprising. How did those two sync
I don't know.
up?
Isn't that interesting?
Well, there is a very obvious reason, not that I really knew this until I just figured it out, Austin, Texas.
Oh, are they both from Austin, Texas? Is that the...
I mean, do you realize how important Austin is? If you have a connection, you better be using that Austin, Texas connection.
Right on, right on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, because that is...
Do you not get it? Okay.
No, I didn't.
UT, hook 'em long, hook 'em horns, excuse me.
Wait, is Dazed and Confused set in Austin?
99% because I'm not an expert. I don't know.
So for those of you who didn't follow all of that weird back and forth, Dazed and Confused was directed by Richard Linklater, and then... I mean, I didn't put together that is Austin, and he's from Austin, and Glen Powell is from Austin. Wow. Okay, interesting. Thank you, John.
Apparently, Richard is from Houston, but so much of his stuff is out of Austin. I'm sure he's, I don't know.
So they're
lived there
Texas
for-
boys.
Exactly, yep.
Got it.
Yeah, okay, so back to director. The other significant things and why this feels a little different, I mean, obviously Dazed and Confused has a real comedic vibe, but very weird kind of meandery quality. This is
A
just
little dazed and confused.
yeah.
So this is much more like Boyhood.
Oh,
Boyhood, very different.
Yeah,
and then
not
they
at
call it
all like this.
of obviously. And then they call it the Before trilogy, the Before movies that he made, which was Before Sunrise, Before Midnight,
Before Sunset. Or,
Before
Yeah, I could not name those three for you.
Okay,
so.
I have it here. It's Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight.
Oh, I got one of them, Before Sunset.
Yeah. I don't know if I even
Was his
got
last movie Boyhood?
I don't know, but that was 2014.
That seems
So,
crazy. There had been a decade past.
I'm sure there's been things in
Something
between.
missed, yeah. And that was a 20-year, 18-year journey, which is
Yeah, Boyhood was quite a trek.
Yep.
Really a significant and interesting filmic endeavor.
Cinematic.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, endeavor.
So the tone of this movie, very comedic, like black comedy, but also a romance is baked in there. So the short version is he's posing as a hitman and he is approached or has, a sting operation with a woman that he then falls in love with. So that's obviously complicated.
Yeah,
So what I thought was great is they did take some license and changed up the true life story a little bit, particularly the end. And then at the very end, they put up pictures of the guy that it's actually based on. And he had like 70 arrests and he was a teacher. And it was really, I love when they do that, when it's based on a true thing and then they show you the person at the end. And so they've been calling this like a loosely based on or almost true story or sort of true story or mostly true story, that kind of thing. But I found it very enjoyable, particularly the first 20 minutes when he's doing the hitman undercover stuff, like he's just starting that. Every character and costume is fantastic. So that's a great little thing. And then by the end, he kind of falls into one of the characters a little bit more than the others, and you don't get as much variety, but that whole thing was very fun. Okay, so the rest of the cast, the woman that we're talking about, that he becomes interested in, the love interest, Adria Arjona, and she was from Andor, which I loved her in Andor. She was great in that.
Don't forget Triple Frontier.
I know, I saw that, John. 'Cause
okay.
John, big fan of Triple Frontier. Also, she was in season 1 of Good Omens, which she played Anathema Device, which is one of my favorite characters. It's such a great name.
That is a
okay,
good name.
we also have another cop who is a real call out, particularly for you, John. He's in Fear the Walking Dead. Austin Amelio. He's the one with the scar on the side of his face.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And
so-
his name is Austin.
Oh,
Wow.
that's another Austin connection.
Yes.
Another cop played by Retta, who is hysterical. I mean, I loved her in Parks and Rec, so
Yeah,
she's one
fantastic.
of my faves. Okay, so that is on Netflix. Super enjoyable, dark
That
romantic
goes on
comedy.
my
Yeah.
list. That's going to get watched.
Get on it. So fun.
Apparently wrong. Dazed and Confused, not set in Austin. Because he did grow up, Houston, outside of Houston. He based it on his high school, which I'm looking at a map. It doesn't seem to be next to a large city. So not
But
Austin
was it-
or Houston.
But it wasn't in Texas.
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
it's like an hour outside of Houston.
I love
apparently.
John
I mean,
is
okay.
map questing it right now for us. Thank you.
I've gone back to 1999.
Google Earth it
Yeah, there you
right
go.
now for
Yeah,
us.
MapQuest. What? My daughter was asking me about the book.
Thomas Guide?
Yeah, she was like, "What was that called?" I was
Thomas
like,
Guide.
Oh God, Thomas Guide.
You were an
yeah.
actor with a Thomas Guide.
Oh, you had to. Thomas Guide, for sure.
You lost your mind. You had certain pages marked because it was like, this is the Hollywood grid
yeah.
that you're going to cross section F1 with D3, and that's La Cienega. Oh, it was like, that's why the Saturday Night Live sketch, The Californians, it's like, there's a reason it's based on Los Angeles.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So,
Richard Linklater has had quite a few movies in between,
Great.
including he is doing one that is a 17-year process. So he's working on one right now.
Of course, a 17-year process. Holy moly.
I love that. And it was drop it on us, which I think is so cool.